Hey everybody, this is Brian Merrill. This is Tattooed in Business. I am on the road this week out in Houston, Texas, doing the OTR, the Offshore Testing Show, which is a big show for our industry, for testing certification, hazardous locations, energy fields, uh, natural resources, all sorts of different stuff. So I can't even talk. The offshore, the offshore. Show is pretty big deal. 4,000 people come out to it, and this is my first time actually in Houston, um, enjoying it and having time to do something. The last time I was here, I had a layover. It was when the Houston Rockets won their first NBA title back in '94. So that tells you how long it's been since I've been down here. It's 80 some degrees. The pool was ice cold, but I still went in just to say I went in. But what I want to talk about is what it's like when you're in sales and you're on the road and everything. Because everyone thinks like, hey, it's cool. You get to travel, you get to do all these things. Um, but you don't necessarily get to do these things. Like people think like this is vacation when we go, and it isn't. I mean, when we go on the road, you have scheduled client visits that you need to make. You have an agenda. Plus, on top of all the stuff you're doing during your day, you still got to do the stuff that you would normally do at night. Or during your normal day when you're in the office, you still got to do your outreaches. You still have probably some customer meetings that you have scheduled and whatnot. But there's still a lot of things out there that you still have to take care of on your daily basis. So everyone says, "Oh, you're going to go to the show, you're going to hang out and go drinking, whatever the night." That's not true. We after our shows, we were back in the hotel room working on quotes, working on um, proposals, working on follow up calls, just trying to make sure that nothing's falling through the cracks. Uh, and what's hard is now that I'm older, I'm in a different point in my life. Back in the day when I was doing this stuff, my kids were little, and um, I made a choice back then to give this up and to be home every day. And very few times that I go out on the road and do a show, but I needed to be home every night because I wanted to be a father and I wanted to be there for my kids. So I got to have that life, and I tell you, I'm a very fortunate human being. I got to have those things in my life. I got to spend time with my kids and do these things. Where so now that my kids are grown, and I don't have any money at home waiting for me or anything like that, this is my time to go back out on the road and do traveling where other guys can't, and to experience this lifestyle again, which I enjoy. Um, so, what's it like being on the road? In case you've never been on the road, so I'm in. So this week I'm here for 4 days in Houston. So a lot of times we don't choose to. We're not too choosy on our hotels. It's wherever we have to be. If there's a trade show like this one, so in this case, the trade show is very close here. But like, so there's a workout room, and so you modify your workout. So if you work out every day like I do, you're going to modify your workouts. The big thing that I notice when I go on the road is tend to become dehydrated a lot. So big key for me is always keeping water with me, trying to stay hydrated. Um, I'm not a big, I'm not a, I mean, I like to have a couple drinks on wine, but I'm not a big drinker anymore. Um, Normally, if I was at something like this, or and there was downtime, I'd be looking for the local breweries today, be going and checking those out. By the time I got in today, it's a funny story. So I get in today. So let's talk about trade show nightmares, right? When you come in, so I open up my bag. First thing I look for is where's my business cards. So my business cards aren't in the bag, which I find funny because I know I put them in there, right? I mean, I remember putting them in there. Well, then I find some. They're soaking wet and they're like garbage. I'm like, what the hell? So I open up my bag, and all the bottoms of my clothes, like where they fold, are all wet. Now it was downpouring rain when we left, but I thought that was odd. So I'm looking for something that exploded in my bag, something like that. Nothing leaked, nothing like that. So somehow my bag gets all wet. And so all my clothes right now, first thing I had to do is I break out the iron and I start ironing. But I also am sitting there drying them out for whatever got all over them. And I realized, oh my God, all my business cards were ruined. I tried saving some. Um, I didn't pack enough, obviously. So now I'm sitting there walking the trade show, and you're thinking, oh my God, how am I going to do this? It's very easy, guys. So you just change your mentality up a little bit. So when you go on the trade show, everyone just, the quick way to get away from somebody is to switch straight, business cards, right? And that 90% of the time they get tossed anyhow, right? So what you do in this case is, rather than trading business cards, I'm going to exchange emails. I'm going to have my phone right there, text, phone number, whatever. I'll say, okay, hey, I'm going to email you right now. Let's set up a time. I'm going to use that to my advantage to try to set up meetings. Whether I'm here, following up back at home and whatnot. So I'm going to use a different approach because I don't have this tool. Also, you want to look for something unique. So I have some things that I'll work on during the show that'll try to set me apart from my competition and whatnot, as far as that goes. But for the most part, business cards aren't as important as people think they are, but you do need to have them. It's an easy way to make sure things aren't spelled wrong and whatnot, but card scanners, things like that now are the way of the future. That's what most people use at this point. But I'm going to use it to interact and be more direct with my customer. Um, so bags wet, no business cards, right? And I'm going to my first show with this company, and it's a very big show. Like I said, 4,000 people can be here, and I don't know anybody on the team that I'm meeting with. I've never met these guys other than on a call. I don't even know what they look like, right? So we set up a group text and chat, and I'm the only one that responded to it so far. And so I'm hoping we all meet up in the lobby in the morning. I think three out of the five of us are staying at this hotel. Um, what I really should do is reach out tonight and say, hey, you guys want to meet real quick so we can just get names with faces and whatnot, so we can touch base before we go tomorrow, and kind of get together. So this is my first time not knowing anyone when I'm walking into a church. Normally I know who I'm going with and everything like that. We've had a couple meetings here and there, which is cool. Um, so life on the road, it's different, right? You you have to really put things in perspective when you're gonna choose to go this route. Like, so for me, and I'll be the first one to tell anyone this, when I was younger and my kids were little, I hated going away. I used to um, I used to really get depressed and upset at night because I put my kids to bed every night, and that was a big deal for me. And then to get them up in the morning, and to not be there for me every day, I had a hard time with that. I mean, I was lucky. I had my ex-wife, filled in. I mean, awesome every time I had to do something like this. She really did. Sometimes she took off work so that I could go do what I had to do. For as much of the problems we had in our marriage and stuff early on, there was time we worked. She realized how she could work together with me, even though we'd fight about it, but she'd work with me on it. So it's important to have that support staff at home if you're in that situation. Um, like I said, I enjoyed doing this. I enjoyed seeing new places, but again, it's not like you're here on vacation. And everyone kind of gets that thought in their head, like, oh, you guys are you're out there partying. This, no, man, we work. If you're here and you do these things right, you're working and you're networking. And yeah, you might go to, hopefully what you do is you connect with some clients at the end of the day, take them to dinner, take them for drinks, whatnot. Which leads me to another thing. So what do you do when you take your customers to drinks and you don't drink? Is it rude to not have a drink with them? Is it, does it send a wrong message, a wrong vibe? I don't think it does anymore. Like back in the day, it used to be people did bond over that. A lot of times I do, like I said, again, I drink socially. But most of the time I'm like I said, I'm dehydrated constantly when I'm on the road for some reason. So I'm always drinking water with lemon or something like that. But what I do is I have a rule. I try to keep my rule to two. I treat it like if I was riding my motorcycle. So I try if I'm with clients, one, I try to keep it light. If I'm going to have a drink with them, I keep it to two minimum or two maximum. I do not ever want to get into a point where I'm with a group of people and I'm hammered drunk, even though you may have a good time and it may be party time and all that. You're also setting the stage for what type of human being they perceive you as. And is this person going to be someone who can get things done for me? So even though you're not like on the clock, you're always on the clock. And that's something that I learned very early on in my sales career and in life, is that you're always on. People are always watching you. They're always looking for you to make a mistake, to deliver on something, they're always looking for some type of expectation of you. And when you're on the road, it becomes that much harder because you don't have all the resources. You don't have your setup and like what's killing me today is I don't have multiple monitors. I'm used to having 3 monitors that I work from. And even at my house, I have 3 monitors. Minimum, I only work with 2. So I'll be back down to 1, checking emails and everything like that, trying to, keep up the speed on it, keep touch with the guys back home, and just try to, focus and keep moving forward and, be beneficial for myself. One thing that it's easy for me when I go out on the road is I don't have a hard time talking with people. Starting up a conversation and everything like that it's very simple for me. For a lot of people, it really is. Whether they don't think it is or not, they don't realize they do it. But it just kind of it's nice to when you're in a different atmosphere and like I'm riding with the cab driver. I'm asking, hey, how's the economy here? What's the housing market like? What's the job market like? What's going on? Like, it's just slow today compared to other days. Like all sorts of stuff. And everyone can think, hey, you're thinking small, making small talk or whatnot. But I'm also trying to gauge like the community I'm in. Um, if it's a thriving place. Do I want to honestly down here? The large majority of people at the show are going to be from Texas. So these will not be my customers. These will be divided and given to the West Coast guys, which is cool. That I totally get that. As long as I get some East Coast action, that's all I care about. Um, but again, I mean, and you got to remember, you're not here when you go to a trade show and everything. You're not here to close them on anything other than maybe getting an appointment with them. That's all you're there for. You're not there to pitch them your services and they're going to ask you to. They're going to ask you to. They're going to ask you, tell me about your company. Tell me about it. So I have a slide deck in case need be, and I'm going to sit there and talk to guys, and I'm going to use my elevator speech and all that stuff, and and try to mingle with people. But reality is I'm here to have real conversations. And I go back to what Donnie Bovine, and I still, I know I'm not in the Success Champion Network anymore, but it made a world of difference for me. Just, I guess, having someone to reinforce things that I'd always kind of known or I'd done, because there's a lot of bad salespeople out there that make a lot of money, and there's a lot of shady salespeople out there, and and I'm one of these people that I've had run-ins with this company that I'm with now, with these senior salespeople, and they basically think I've been here for X amount of years, so I have an entitlement and I can treat you the way I treat. And you know what? In the Cortland office, we're not letting that fly. We're all pretty new there, and we're still kicking ass, and we're going to kick ass, and we're going to keep making strides and all that. And we're going to, someday we want our sales manager to be the top guy. We want him to look like the top guy because that means we're the top crew. And, so you have to watch how you approach things. There's going to be people that lie to you to try to get you to do work for them and then pass it over or whatnot. And that happens all the time. So when you're at the trade show, you have to learn the network smartly. So I have a list of everyone that's going to be here. And the first thing I did is I highlighted everybody who's on the East Coast. They're the only ones I had a shot at because we already had the meeting here and we were told leads are going to be divvied up based on territory. Okay. Second thing I did, I went with that list and I sent out emails to a bunch of guys saying, hey, going to be at the show next week. Possibly would like to see if we could hook up and possibly, either meet with you over at your booth or set up some time, maybe go to dinner or something. Send out a bunch of email. The only point of that is to touch base with them to make sure that if I stop at their booth, maybe they remember my name enough to talk to me a little bit, to get me to the next step. I'm not trying to close anything other than trying to get an appointment. And that's the big thing, like at a trade show versus, you're not here to pitch. You're not here to sales pitch a quote. You're here to get the appointment. Now, if they progress it, you absolutely do it and you deliver it and you freaking look like a rock star and you shine and you get it done. You know. Um, so I mean, it's it's totally different type of mindset than when you're sitting back at the office when you do these things. Um, so I go back to the life on the road thing. Um, and this is where I get into my personal stuff more than business side, so to say. But uh, when I'm on the road, it's it's a lonely time. It's my kids are grown, but I still think about them. I still message them, and anyone that tries to tell you there's a home life and work balance that you got to meet that that's going to have me. They probably never been in sales and they probably never have owned their own business. You are always on, and that's a very tough thing for people to be around. And I get it. Um, like I tell everyone, I'm an intense person. I know what I like, I know what I want, and I know how to get there. And I have a tendency to, I guess, always be working to the point where the person with me feels neglected at times. And I sit there and I look at it this way. Look, I don't care if the person I'm with has a job or not. I don't care if you're a stay at home mom. I don't care if you're a CEO someplace. I don't care about that. I care about how we interact together. Nothing more than that. But understand this: if I'm the sole breadwinner, then you got to let me do it. This is who I am. It's not going to change. This is my personality, and I look. Hopefully, I find someone who I'm compatible with that can understand this. But when you have kids and you're younger, it's difficult. It's very difficult to find that happy medium or to find that space in there because your kids don't necessarily understand what that means. Maybe your spouse can with the kids, and the kids shouldn't have to. The kids should never put on a face or anything like that. I tell everyone, this is me. This is me in my rawest form, personality wise. Expose myself to the world, so to say. To love me, hate me, don't really give a shit. This is who I am, and it took me a long, long, long time to get there. It took me years of being beat down by myself, by my family, by friends, beating me down to get to where I'm comfortable in my own skin. And I used to have assholes look at me and say, "Oh, you know what your problem is? Oh, you just got to get tougher skin. We're just busting your ball." No, assholes. I'm in sales. I get told to fuck off at least twice a day minimum. And I come home from that shit. I don't need to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. And why should I deal with that? If you're my friend, you're not going to beat me down constantly to make your fucking pathetic life feel better than what you really are. And I do mean that directly to a certain fucking asshole out there that I will never fucking find forgiveness for you. But it just you have to be able to be comfortable in your own skin all the time, and even when you're not, figure out how to get there fast. And and I tend to be a person that maybe I'm into my own agenda now, and I'm alienating people uh, indirectly, but its reality is I know what makes me happy, and I know how I need to live when I'm on the road to keep my mind going. And and the key is routine. So when you're on the road versus home, I get up every day at 4 a.m. Okay, go to the gym. So when I'm on the road, can that change? No, has to stay the same. Has to stay the same. The big thing I do like about being on the road, and this is like one of my little like, I guess, guilty pleasure secrets. I guess is I love to go to breakfast, and it's not necessarily the fact about eating breakfast. It's watching everybody around you. So whenever I go to where everybody else is eating, whether it be at the show, there's a break for breakfast, or in the hotel that everyone's staying at. And I like to just take a spot back and I just watch. I watch how everybody comes in, interacts with each other. I try to watch to see who sits with who, listen to conversations, and you kind of get a feel for what people are. And the big one is you overhear people talk about, "Oh man, I got so shit faced, got drunk last night and this and that." Now I know that, okay, probably not someone I'm going to hang out with during the day because I'm not going to get their attention. They're not, I get it. And in sales, customers have a tendency um, to expect you to pick up the bill for everything. And they have this mentality as, oh, you're just going to expense it. And, that's not always the truth. But so when you do these things, you want to make sure that you're strategically doing them, that you're doing them for things that make sense, not just to do it. I mean, why do I want to pick up a drinking tab for XYZ company that's on the West Coast and oil that isn't going to do anything with me and they already have a rep? That's not a good meeting for me. That's not a good plan for me. Right? And just like that, when I'm setting up my day, whether I'm home or on the road, same thing goes. It has to be a good plan for me. And even in my personal life, it has to be a good plan for me. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you that um, I don't judge other people. I try to get to know them first before I do any of that shit. Um, but I really worked on trying to hone in to what's going to keep me moving forward. And unintentionally, I push people away because of that. And that's never the intent. Um, that's a big reason why I reach out to people. When I see people post things, um, positive, negative, I do try to reach out. I try to keep in contact because I know what it's like when you're in a bad place and you're really lonely and you're really depressed and nobody says a word to you. Nobody like reaches out to you. Then afterwards, they give you shit about it. Well, you know, it's not easy, when you're lonely and all this type of stuff to express that. So that's why I do try to reach out to people, ask questions, see how they're doing. My personality is my personality. I'm a flirty type of guy. I joke around. Um, but trust me, it's if I reach out to you and ask you how things are going, I mean I truly want to know if everything's okay. You know, um, being on the road, it makes it hard to do that type of stuff if you're not monitoring and all that type, like you normally would. Um, and it's hard because when I get back, my first thought and everything goes to my kids and my family. Um, and it's you're trying to balance that time. But when I'm on the road, what is really nice is right now is I have business, and that's what I have. Um, I don't have other distractions. And I'm a guy who, when I'm dating somebody, if they can't come out on the road with me, yeah, I wish they were with me type thing. And I do kind of, reach out and talk to them. I mean, the last one trip I was at, I was in Atlantic City on a trade show, and um, I call the girl every single day, same time, talk to her just to hear her voice because it makes me feel that missing stuff and able to deal with being gone. As I grow older, I don't have that need anymore. I'm not that needy type of person anymore. I've become comfortable in my skin. I've become comfortable being out and about and doing my own thing, and would like to have somebody around that I can have these discussions with, but don't need it. Um, and like I said, I look at it this way. It's like a perfect world. Yeah, maybe I would have came in on Saturday, stayed the whole weekend, had some fun, and then did the show and then went back home. But it's all relevant and whatnot. But I like to see different places. Um, right now, I'm outside on the pool bar. It's a Sunday, so apparently the bar's not open. But I tried to go swimming, like I said earlier. Got a great view. I went to a barbecue place. Terrible, absolutely effing terrible. I'm like, So I had bad, but if I remember right, somebody told me not to go to this place I went to. That they were a chain and they were kind of off the wall here thing. But um, yeah, I like to try different things, but I try to look for where the locals go if I have time, um, and try to experience a little bit of the culture while I'm here. But for the most part, you're here for work. That's what it's about. Um, the big thing is make sure you follow up with the people that you need to follow up with. And one thing that I learned a long time ago is I never, ever, ever leave town without talking to my kids and making sure that they know that I love them and that those are some of the last words I say to them. and they know if something were to happen, what to do. And some people would sit there and say, "Oh, you overthink things," and well, here's reality, man. Look at the feeds we've had. You never know. You never know. And I think back to what my good friend BK said to me, the last things he told me, and I thought about it a lot. I think about it a lot. He says, "I've lived a good life." He was okay with it. You know, I want to make sure that I'm the same way. If for whatever reason I lived a good life, people, like I said, in sales, in the world of sales, you can try to think whenever you want to think about how people love you and you're irreplaceable. Here's reality: if you were to fall off the face of the earth tomorrow, that customer is going to say, they're a really good person. I really like dealing with them, but I still got to do business. And that is reality, guys. In your personal life, hopefully it's not that way. Hopefully people don't see you as expendable or as, you know, transactional, and that you can come and go as you please and whatnot. So, but anyhow, so I am going to try to do a couple posts this week while I'm at the show if I have some time. Just kind of breaking down what it's like, day in the life at the trade show. Maybe shoot some video when I'm on the floor if I'm allowed to, and kind of go from there. I mean, it's it's a pretty cool experience I've done in the past. Um, Row, that you taught me that. I mean, Row Espino, you taught me that. You taught me to make sure that you're always capitalized when you're at a trade show, taking videos, keeping active with it. Um, I haven't seen her talk to you in a little while, but I definitely will. But you got to remember when you work for different people over the years, learn, learn features, benefits from what they do well and other things. And maybe it's their home life, maybe it's their work life. Take bits and pieces and figure out how to make your experience the most pleasurable it can be. So, I just been ranting and ranting and ranting because it's so freaking beautiful out here. On that note, I am going to head out because I believe it's almost 9 o'clock in Binghamton. I think you're an hour ahead of me. If not, you're 2 hours ahead of me. But anyhow, everyone take care. Have a great night, and everybody be safe. All right.